When you are used to living in privilege, the definition of feeling oppressed comes from this.
Has America become racist against white people in any way that's comparable to, sort of racial slurs against black people or Mexicans or anything else?
And I think kind of whiteness, not a phrase I love, but I'm just kind of using it as a placeholder, has been stigmatized in our modern entertainment. And this can come from everything like Hamilton, which is a work that artistically I actually like a lot, but I think can be interrogated racially, to use the left-wing term, to movies like Black Panther.
All right, where am I?
Don't scare me like that, colonizer.
And if you look at some of the racial politics around that, now, is that the equivalent of hostility of Jim Crow South in the 1950s? No. But is it there? I do think that whiteness, again, has become culturally disfavored, at least in certain elite circles, in recent years.
But that doesn't seem like racial hostility. Like if you go watch Gone with the Wind.
Right.
And you watch the portrayals of slaves in that movie, they are just racist stereotypes,
Absolutely.
Right? I don't get that vibe watching American pop culture in the current age as regards white people.
Well,
do you?
As I said, I'm not saying, I just explicitly said, I don't think it's as extreme as it was in the other direction in the, say, early 20th century. On the other hand, and I cite some data from Annenberg, which is actually using it for opposite purposes of how I'm using it. They kind of look at the demographics of people in every mainstream movie, and white people kind of wind up on the short end of the stick. Now, it is a big culture. Obviously, like Tom Cruise is off being the white fighter pilot hero.
I feel the need for speed.
Right. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but I think statistically that tendency is still there, and it's okay to call that out.
Is there any other area in the culture that is actually like overtly oppressive, and you can something that would affect your kids, for instance, like in everyday life?
Oppressive is a pretty strong word, so I don't know that I would go that far, at least as a generality. But again, as whites become another minority in America, or just one of many groups, you could see the pressures pushing in that direction over time. We've got to recreate a common American culture, and I think that's frankly tricky, because we've had massive amounts of immigration without enough time, in my view, to assimilate them into American mores and values, and you've got a lot of people who benefit from creating that division.
Immigrants coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, just exactly how did white guys such as this dude get to America? Way back in the beginning, when this land belonged to the natives that already lived here. And we get to the crux of his problem. He is worried that the whites are becoming the minorities, and he's fearful that the way they have treated every other race group in this country is going to get done to them. This douchebag really, really makes it feel for some white dudes that you can be mediocre and still get away with everything you want to do, as we see the MAGA Trump regime getting away with. And then think about when he says common American culture. What does that really mean? For someone like him, that means going back to white culture. And everyone needs to step into being that. I ask myself, why do we, New York Times, press, continue to intellectualize and legitimize these type of clowns? I guess because the Trump era has made it that the people that don't understand critical thinking and facts, they actually in their heart believe that there's such thing as alternative facts. There's not. It makes me ask questions like, what in the hell is he talking about? Whiteness is currently the dominant force. Look at MAGA. It's the norm, the default. Why does he feel such victimhood, ladies and gentlemen, especially right now? I'm gonna tell you why. Because like I said, those type of white dudes are getting put in the box from every single corner of their atrocities and the sins of their father, from treating women bad. We're starting to see laws forcing them accountability. Right now, we're not getting it because they have put the ultimate corrupt person in chief in office. But folks, as much as we hate what's going on, it's not going to last. Racial injustice, social injustice, inequality has been curbed a little bit. Even though Trump has taken us back over the years, it's gotten curbed. And last but not least, one of the most important parts, the understanding of how the financial and capitalistic system works and how it has been skewed for white MAGA like him that just get away with anything with impunity, that get away with anything with no accountability. And at the end of the day, when you get caught red-handed, some of these white dudes become too big to fail. So like they're in the Epstein files and they're saying if they go after everybody in the Epstein files, the government might collapse, financial systems might collapse. Well, fucking let it collapse. You don't need people that want to traffic children or have this dude's mindset running anything. You know what? We'll let them run something. We'll let them run the tag making department in correctional facilities. We'll let them do that. If they want to have podcasts in jail that circulate in jail, let them do that, but not in civil society. So we've got to stop uplifting these type of dorks, because for them, it's always going to be victimhood when their privilege that some of them know they have and then others don't feel like it's being stepped upon. And before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, I always got to give a big shout out to my boy Godfrey. God, I love this dude. He's so funny. And I always try to end my videos with something a little funny, something that makes you laugh. And here we go with my big homie, Godfrey.
Get ready for more Trumpisms. Donald Trump is sitting right next to the Prime Minister of Japan. And a reporter was asking, hey, why didn't you tell us about, the war tactics that we're using? And he goes, we couldn't have told him. We didn't want to tell him. We didn't tell him about signals.
One thing, you don't want to signal too much. When we go in, we went in very hard. And we didn't tell anybody about it.
We didn't tell Japan. Who knows better about surprise than Japan, okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? You didn't tell me about Pearl Harbor. You believe in surprise much more than us. You do.
Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right?
Come on, you know about surprise. You're so good. That's why your eyes are slanting, because you never know what you're looking at, No disrespect. Yo, he don't give a what he says. Diplomacy is out the water. There you go. More Trumpisms.
Bruh. Even though that's funny, it shouldn't be. We are a laughing stock, ladies and gentlemen. We are just so looked down upon in the world right now because we've elected this buffoon again, who is in no position to be telling other countries about their business, when the only business he understands that works is illegals, illegality, stealing, corruptness, and putting people in place that bend the knee to him. That joke was in poor taste, damn near racist. And the people sitting around him in his office are just yucking it up. Ladies and gentlemen, when you start to think about how superpowers go down, they go down because you get Timbuktu dictators that are able to rile up those who are predominantly in privilege, which is never the majority in anybody's country. The people in privilege is never the majority. And they keep souping up the power of those individuals until at one point in time, folks say enough is enough. And then other countries see what's happening. And then we get into a world war. And it almost seems like we're there now with Iran, because they keep on bombing people. How the hell do we shoot off all these many Tomahawk bombs when they can only make, I think, like 100, 1,000 or something a year because of the price. And then we get our ass kicked by $5 drones made by Iran. You see that not only do you think you are elitist, but you're dumb too. You're dumb. And that is a recipe for disaster. And so I need you all to find out, because Democrats haven't been the greatest either. Now, let's make no mistake. I'm not pushing for corporate Dems on this channel. Fuck that. I'm pushing for non-corporate Dems, Dems that understand our country needs a great balance of socialism with capitalism, and that for the longest time, run amok capitalism is what's been taking over our country. The Zoran Mamdanis, the AOCs, in some cases, the Bernies, they get it and they're fighting, and we need more Democrats like that aren't bought by political groups. Please don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, share my content as I am growing. I go live usually Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights. I would love for you all to come join. And until that next sexy as hell, let's save America video, I'm out.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body.